Well, thank you so much for joining ReelBlend. I've seen the film 3 times now. I can't stop thinking about it. I rewatch it just to find things that I missed the first time around. But I wanted to talk to you briefly about shooting in absolute continuity, in chronological order, and not giving your actors a script, and how that influenced what you achieved in your camera, those natural reactions. Maybe you can specifically focus on the birth scene, because Yalitza talked about how that scene, she did not know that was going to happen in that sequence. Can you talk about utilizing that type of filmmaking and what you gathered in your camera from that?
Yeah, for that specific scene, the birth scene, as we were shooting in continuity, Yalitza was following the story of her character, her circumstance, and she knew that it was, she had gone through the preparation room, and she knew that now was the scene in which she was delivering her baby. To shoot that scene, what we did is, first of all, something was important was the casting. We cast, to play the doctors and the nurses, we cast real doctors and nurses. People who do that work every single day. So they deliver maybe 10, 15 babies a day. And so we staged the whole scene with them, without Yalitza. And pretty much they were guiding me because they are doctors. They know what they are doing. I don't really know how the procedure works. And once that everything was perfect staged between them, then we were ready to shoot. And Yalitza was in the stretcher, and the only thing was now is the scene in which you're going to deliver your baby. The gynecologist told her, "Look, it's very painful as you're delivering. I'm going to squeeze a little bit your foot whenever you will be feeling the greatest pain." And so we roll cameras and we start shooting the scene. And what happens, Yalitza started getting into the moment because everything was very realistic. Even the doctor said that there's a point in which they forgot that they were shooting a film. And yeah, then what happened is that is the whole situation of the stillborn baby. And that completely caught Yalitza by surprise. She was not expecting that, and she was immersing her character, and she just broke. She just broke the way that a mother would. And I think it was very important to shoot in continuity just because she had the whole experience of the circumstance of her character with all the expectations that her character had for the baby. But also because it was not only her own expectations, but the expectation of the children of the family. On set and off set, there were discussions between the kids, guessing if it was going to be a boy or a girl, the name of how they were going to name the baby, when the baby was going to come. So it was as if it was just a continuation of life. And when what you're seeing in that scene is the honest, pure reaction of Cleo, and Cleo played by Yalitza.
Alfonso, I'm really curious about, every time I go back and revisit the film, I've seen it 3 times now, it's a different film because I know what's going to happen in the grand scheme, and I see things in the background, and I see things that you've populated that are, foreshadowings and references. And so I would love for you to just talk about knowing that your audience is going to be able to have a second viewing and a third viewing, and how you put things in the background, and what we could maybe look for in our next viewing that you think people have missed.
Yeah, the first viewing, of course, hopefully you will be carried on by the story. What is the circumstance of the characters and what they go through. In other views, probably you will be able to read more of the visual information that is presented in each frame. Each frame is very densely layered with not only with choreographies and actions, but also with visual information. Some of that information is foreshadowing what is going to happen later on. Some other are just socio-political references, or many others are information that are relevant thematically in the different themes that the film juggles with. So it's I think that each viewing you can discover new layers. New layers in terms of just the information in the background, but also how that information informs either the characters or the themes of the film.
Alfonso, there's been a lot of talk about how personal of a film this is for you and in a sense how autobiographical it is. I'm curious, as moviegoers, as fans of yours, how much more do you think we know you now having seen this film?
Well, I think that's a hard question to answer because, I mean, I'm disclosing an important aspect of a period of my life. I guess that then you have a bit more information, but I think that the most relevant information is the cultural aspect of it, is the country that forged me, and the social dynamic that forged me, together with the class and race dynamics that are involved. In other words, maybe what they can see is that, yeah, I'm aware of certain social, ethnical differences, and I think it's probably it is a bit obvious how embarrassed I feel about my unwilling complicity in those differences.
You know, Alfonso, last thing for you before we go. One thing that I love in the movie, when they go to the movie theater, those are some of my favorite sequences. And obviously you see the Marooned movie hit the big screen, that space sequence. And then there's that shot that turns to the second astronaut, who, you know, is Gregory Peck, who looks just like George Clooney. And I know that Maroon was kind of a big influence for you from Gravity. And I was just curious about that connection. And was the Clooney casting at all referenced because how much Peck kind of looked like him in that sequence?
It's actually Gene Hackman, not Gregory Peck in that sequence.
Gene Hackman.
It's yes, Gene Hackman, and look, people have said that it's an homage to Gravity. When in reality, Gravity is a reference to Maroon. Maroon is a film that I have always admired. I love that film. And it's a film that specifically this period of my life, I watch many different times. And yes, it's inevitable to think that for me, while I was doing Gravity, not to be influenced by Maroon. Yeah, so it's not a coincidence. I hadn't seen Maroon for a while. And when I was looking at watching Maroon because of Roma, I realized how much I rip off from it. You know, I mean, it's a different story, but it's just, I guess that what struck me with Maroon, and it's something that I try to do in Gravity, is that concept of the void, of humanity against the void. You know, and it's one of the themes of Roma, but also in Gravity, of how, in terms of our existence, pretty much we are lost in this void. And it's only the human connection that can save us and give meaning to this void.
Wow. Well, Alfonso, we want to say thank you so much for joining ReelBlend. This has been an absolute pleasure. Roma is an absolute masterpiece, and I'm going to go see it for a fourth time next weekend in 70mm in Los Angeles.
Oh,
so thank you for making this movie, and thank you for making movies that make us excited to go to movies.
Well, thank you very much.